What's going on, creators? Yeah, just want to get on here and bring everybody back to now. Appreciate y'all being here and vibing with me for a bit. Yeah, today I'd like to continue the discussion on living in the end and perceiving what's happening to you in the present moment from the end state. Instead of reacting out of, fear, which is what the old man likes to do, when anything pops off in the present moment, and just kind of spirals in these loops of like, oh, it's just getting worse and worse, and it's like, oh, when will this fucking quit, and it's like always this imaginary future payoff day, the you made it moment. It's like, finally, once I finally get done moving things around this time, then it'll all pay off. And the insanity is just continuing that loop. And part of like living from the end is embodying that state now, so like in the last stream, the Neville Goddard example from his like spiritual teacher, Abdullah, where he was talking about wanting to like manifest a trip to Barbados, and he kept talking about going to Barbados and what he had to do to get there, and Abdullah kept reminding him, you are in Barbados now, so start perceiving your reality from that desired state, and if Barbados is kind of abstract, everybody's that's an adult, I would think, has been at least on vacation one time. Even if you like working, probably have experienced a vacation, and how that energy, that even if you didn't go anywhere, let's just take the fucking week off and just like had a vacation from your normal life, or just couched it, and just Netflixed and chilled for a week, any of these types of things, you understand that difference in energy that you feel, almost like that lighter feeling. A lot of times, like me and my family will go down to Florida about this time of year, in the middle of summer, actually, because like my wife's family lives in Florida, and so the summer is like when we normally go down and a couple weeks is hang out down there, and there's always this like different energy. And part of like living in the end and doing all these different things and moving all this shit around and doing your career and your all these responsibilities and shit, is holding on to that end state of like almost like you're in vacation mode. Even though there might be drama and different things going on, not to get stuck in like this old man mentality of like, oh, one thing after another, and it's like, oh, what now? Oh, what now? Now what do I got to do? Now what do I got to do? And really taking the ownership and getting more into like allowing the good to just start to unfold in the present moment, and realize, so many times when things just happen, and I got to catch myself doing this, because like a lot of times I get like an event. Maybe the dog does something weird or just is acting abnormal, and then it's like that first reaction is like, oh, is something okay? Then all of a sudden your peace is just easily shattered, just by some who knows what's going on. And really getting more and more into that unshakable kind of like peace of mind, lightness, airiness, this kind of feel good energy. Because I get as I'm expanding my business, I get 3 guys now working. That's plugging along good, and we'll be busy with all 3 guys all week long. So so that's cooking, that's going, that's doing. That's on that front. But it's also very these unforeseen issues and just like kind of stress. I'm going to say like, keep me up at night, kind of stress, but it's just like during the day, when work time is, it's like, really trying to get more into the flow of like, I'm already, it's already done. Everything I'm doing now, if I'm not coming from the space of it's already done, then I'm drifted into the old man. And one of the examples I gave in earlier streams, is the analogy of like the heater, because as you really start to understand, as within, so without, it's like what's going on within is basically what you're experiencing without, and there's this dynamic and this like identity that's being expressed, ultimately, that you start to connect with as you start to go within with any of these types of challenges or difficulties or any of these types of things. And not to make a story about how awesome it is to struggle and strive and is these different levels of complexity and shit like that. I really feel like that once you really understand something, it's like breaking it down to as simple as possible. It's like that's how it, for me, it feels like, I really think this guy knows what he's talking. It's so simple. He's got a good grasp on it. He can explain it to a child. But then when you get these long drawn out convoluted labels, that's a big part of things that is like triggering to me, when it's like, oh, just using these, like, I don't say just made up words, but it's just like using vocabulary that's not common, and it almost feels like they're just doing it to try to be more fancy, and it's just like, okay, they're just labels, which, if you're not being, sharing a definition, if this doesn't mean the same thing as, somebody else, I mean, we're miscommunicating, and even simple communication can be misinterpreted. It's to the point, it's hard to understand how people even hear what you're saying, because, and this is something I've picked up on over the past couple of years, especially in this past couple, like, months, where it's like you try to say something in a very simple way, and then it's like people hear you totally differently. It's weird, because it's like, oh, that's what you took away, that was the takeaway from what I said. Because if we would take a transcription of that, those words were never even spoken, and so there's this kind of this weird disconnect, and not even trying to, like, manipulate others and trying to convince people, that it's like, who cares anymore? It's like, really what boils it down is like, are you at peace now? Are you starting to enjoy your life more than you did yesterday? Are you able to be at peace more today than you were yesterday? And ultimately, if you are, then that's a good indication you're on the right track. Yes, if you got less mental stories and shit going on. And it's kind of a process for everybody, and with that process, letting shit go, but then also just honoring how you actually feel then too, not feeling just like this broken toy that, maybe feels a certain way, but then there's some story you're telling yourself why, oh, you're tormented for 10 years, by some psychopath, and then, there's just some story you're telling yourself, like you deserve it, like you're not worthy of being treated well. These types of things. I mean, if in your gut, if you're in your heart, it's like, this is not the right situation. This is opposite. This is contrary. This is an identity that I'm not. I'm experiencing a mirrored thing that, I'm not this punching bag anymore. That's okay. Just part of this thing is all about your identity and your new identity in God, basically, when what that even means is like, you're defining a lot of what this means in your faith, in your relationship, as you're just practicing these different things, and as you're testing this shit for yourself, honestly, because you can be, do, or have anything, and as soon as you say that to be, boom, here comes the walls of resistance of why that's not true, because I need to suffer, and I need to, it can't possibly be that, because blah 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 blah, and then walls of resistance come up. But as you start to test that for your own self, maybe with things that are maybe less of a resistance, maybe you're just seeing the synchronistic numbers, the 1111s and the 1, 2, 3, 4s, and the same number backwards and forward, all these kind of mysterious numbers that is the same kind of, and that was one of the things that, when first starting to be exposed to that, you start looking on the outside, which is what the old man always does, is looks out here, oh, there's got to be some expert, there's got to be somebody better than me that knows what's going on, that can tell me and lead me down the whatever way, and instead I couldn't possibly listen to my own heart and the Holy Spirit within me. But you start, and faith does come by hearing, so it's not black and white. It's so many just, everything is and isn't, it's just, when it boils down, it just kind of depends on your point of view. But when you start to really start going within and looking at the outer world as being reflective Because as you start to change even small beliefs, small assumptions, if you're starting to, maybe get triggered and you're coming from a space of waiting for things to be different, or waiting for that magical you made it moment. Oh, maybe that day when you finally just die, then you can finally just be at peace. God's, present in the eternal now with you now, but, go ahead and, just for however much of linear time, just sit there spinning your wheels and suffering, when you can ultimately start to go within and start connecting with that oneness now. I mean, it's something you can tangibly experience, and you start to do that, by really starting to comprehend how this inner world that's going on within you, is having, I want to say, there's this dynamic at play between the inner state, your inner invisible self. You close your eyes and you're you exist. It basically is all really. It's like that you exist and you're consciously aware, and that's the first starting spot. But then as you start to make all these connections, as you really start to face these things that happen in the moment with faith and oneness, which is how to, if I'm not fear, then I'm the opposite of that. So what's love? How does love interpret this? What did Jesus do? Ask God to help you sort this shit out. But then also start really connecting with the end state desired anyway. Embody that, whatever that happens to be. Most of the shit we want is, there's a spiritual thing that we're actually seeking. We just don't know how to get it, because the old man was trained in reverse and upside down and backwards world, where you chase the shadow, not realizing that it's a shadow of a state of consciousness that you're embodying to begin with, and whatever you're embodying, whatever you're being, start being from the end, and watch what unfolds. If something happens, where the old man you start get triggered and pissed off and afraid. Oh, what will happen if this, whatever. Maybe if you're in business or whatever. I was like, oh, I just one of my big customers just is triggered with me, and what now I'm scared I'm going to lose them, and I'm going to, now what if this happens, and what if that, and what if this, and it's like you're coming from the old man, start to embody the new, that it's all going to work out regardless of what's going on. God's going to provide the customers and the opportunities. It doesn't involve your effort and striving and struggling. A big part of like getting to the end is realizing that God's already given it to you. It's by grace. It's not by your work. It's not by your effort. It's by you just believing that God's already blessed you with it, and live in that end. It's already done. Everything, you're already blessed now. Your life has already changed for the better, for beyond what you can even imagine at this particular moment. But until that full manifestation or realization occurs, start embodying that. It's like, oh, what would happen if you did win say the Powerball or the lottery or whatever. It's like, that's one of those you made it kind of vibes. Like, oh, if I just got that, then everything in my life would be perfect. That, and then I'd feel like a success, or I made it, or safe and secure or whatever. And is that knocking? But then so instead of like the, and more than likely it'll turn on you, and it's like, God, it's like every asshole in my family's bugging me for money, and and now I just got this terrible fear I'm gonna lose it all, and and then it just like turns on you, and then it just turns into a big pendulum, and it just turns into an energy draining thing that you almost wish it never even happened. And part of it, it's like what is it that you want from it to begin with? Do you want the freedom? Do you want the abundance? I mean, what does that do for you? What do you think that does for you? If it's freedom, if it's that light feeling of, oh, I almost feel like I'm on vacation every day. Start to embody that state now. Be that person that is a billionaire, or lottery winner, or whatever that is. unending abundance like that. Embody that, because God's already given that to you. Ooh, let's get triggered, and like, yeah, but that's part of like living in the end, is connecting with that end state that you want through a physical means, but looking at really what the quality of the state of being is that it represents to you, and then go to the opposite way. Embody that state first. Start being more confident. Start being more, whatever. And as you're being, yeah, you might get these things that might try to, oh, I'm back in the old state. I'm reacting. I'm coming from my old identity to this problem instead of coming from my new identity with this, and I see that it's not even a problem. This is just something that just happened for 30 seconds, and now it's gone. And who knows what's next? Part of the unfolding is not to sit there and battle with this shit, because as you battle with it, then you strengthen it, and it makes it worse, and it prolongs it as you're sitting there battling with it. And it's like, oh, making stories about it, doing this. I think another good analogy is like, what are you doing? But like another good analogy is like a faucet. If like your old state is just cold water, but your new state is hot water. And part of the old man doesn't realize you can just turn the faucet on hot water. So it's like, oh, you just keep getting cold water because you're just you're coming from the wrong state. And then you just make up all these stories of why, oh, you're not worthy of the hot water, and whatever. I mean, it's like, oh, if I only did this, then God would bless me with hot water. And then you make up these stories, and you get in this period of waiting. It's like, well, maybe if I just wait with the water on, and then you're just you just need to turn the hot water on. Stop making up stories about the cold faucet and start living from the other, and that has reminders that, yeah, I'm in Barbados. It's a really easy reminder, especially if you start getting reactive. It's like, oh wait, why am I getting reactive when I'm in Barbados, when I'm in that new state? I'm coming from that new state, and in that state, that identity, who I want to be, doesn't just be reactive to this. I want to be able to handle whatever comes up without sitting here freaking out, spinning out in my mind, and losing track of like how fun the day could be. It's like, why when you really are starting to stay more and more present, if you start to spin out, I mean, it's like every 10 seconds, boom, 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 something can piss you off. There's more and more and more, and then as you start to not take responsibility for that state that you're starting to get mirrored back to you, because you're always getting what you're embodying mirrored back to you. There might be a slight time delay, but it's not that slight when you start paying attention to it. Sometimes you can immediately make the shift, and you start, the signs follow. Once you make that mental change, you might see a small synchronicity or coincidence, or maybe you don't. But you just get to a space of knowing where it's like, whether I see a little sign that shows me or not, or a number synchronous, or some chance utterance, or some song on the radio, or any and everything in physical reality, and in non-physical reality, you just get some divine revelation, some just inspiration, just whatever, dream, vision, who knows. Anyway, in every way, God can give you a message. But as you start to really believe the promises of God are true, and start to just test it for yourself, ask, believe, receive, and that's a real thing, and that through testing it. Check out Neville Goddard's work, and and he's not the only one. Ultimately just read the Bible. It's all in there. That's where he got all his shit from, and I encourage you guys to on your own to figure these things out, and test it and everything else. But just wanted to continue to kind of put that reminder out there that when anything kind of hits your radar in the unfolding now, it's only ever now. So whatever is going on, to instead of just immediately becoming reactive and like, oh, this questions my faith, or now I'm in doubt, now this doesn't work because whatever just happened. Just to go, I'm in Barbados, and my new person, new identity, doesn't give a fuck what's going on in 3D. When you realize, more and more so that your inner state comes first, embodying the end inwardly first, then it'll start to reflect in this like kind of mirror of reality. You start really not taking the 3D as seriously, and if you are, start to just remind yourself, hey, wait, I'm in Barbados. This is not real. But you got to build into that faith by actually testing it for yourself. I mean, it means nothing if you just hear it and don't apply anything and just continue to be triggered and oh, what's on the news today? What's going on out here in the outer world and the upside down? Oh, another hoax and upside down thing. Oh, we should just get reactive to it and get to the bottom of it and try to connect the dots, and you're just spinning and spinning, if you're doing that. It's like, and I'm not going to say to not pay attention to it, because if you're like avoiding it, then it's like you're still making it real. It is not real, and it doesn't matter. And so, be able to maybe watch, I've been, kind of watching, dipping into what's going on in the news, not because I care what's in the matrix, but, just so I'm not, hiding from it, like, well, I'm going to avoid it because it's real and it could trigger me and, it could alter my state of consciousness. Nope. It's, I just want to kind of laugh at the parade of circus, just craziness, and not almost just take it as seriously as I would as like playing a video game. It's like, oh, what's going on in Sim City? The Daily Blab just said that the mayor had a prescription drug problem. He's like, are you gonna let that bother you? If you open up something in a video game and that's like the blurb that comes on when you just it's a new alert. Who cares? It doesn't matter. We're all connected anyway. And a big part of like getting triggered by shit is wanting vengeance on others. And what you're really doing to others, you're doing to yourself. So if you're putting vengeance on others, just your belief in vengeance starts to get mirrored back to you. I mean, it's all part of you. It's very accurate. And start taking ownership and responsibility for it. And if it's not reflective of who you are anymore, start to let it go. He's like, I don't, at one point I was like, yeah, okay, but I want to be different. I don't want to do that anymore. And so, in Barbados now. And so, I just wanted to bring that to you guys' attention so you practice it kind of just as a reminder then too, to start living from the end. Whatever your state of heaven on earth is, start embodying that and start living that and start really connecting with that energy, because you can. And I encourage you to do it. The alternative is just living in complete suffering and misery and fear. But if that's what you like, I'm not going to judge you for wanting to experience that, but not for me anymore. And so with that being said, thanks everybody for listening. I appreciate you guys liking, sharing, subscribing. And other than that, have a good rest of your now, and God bless.